Clint from 50 Campfires. Today we're going to be talking about the Work Sharp Field Sharpener. So what I think makes this a pretty unique sharpener is the fact that it runs up through 5 levels of sharpening. On top of that, at every single one of those levels, there is an angle guide so you know exactly where your blade's at and that you're getting the most precise angle possible, which they have set at 20 degrees, which is pretty common for outdoor knives, camping knives. So let's get right into it. So we got one side here, we start out at 220 grit. That's not something that I would use on any of my blades. That's pretty rough if you needed to reprofile a blade, or it just is duller than dull. You could start there. Flip over and we have 600 on the other side. If you have a knife that you haven't touched, like I said, touched in a little while and want to put another edge on it, probably start there. That'd be a good place. And then we flip it over onto, next step up would be to there's a coarse part on the ceramic rod. So you move into that, then you can turn this over to the smooth side of the ceramic rod. And those of you that have sharpened with ceramic rods before know that you can get pretty dang sharp with just a ceramic rod. And you could stop right there and you'd have a sharp, very sharp knife. And sometimes I do if I just don't have time to do the last step, which is stropping. They have a leather strop on the back side of it, and that has some microabrasive compound that comes built in to it, so you can get a pretty sharp, hair-popping, sharp, polished edge on your blade. Every single one of these levels of sharpening has the angle guide, which I think is the thing that makes this also a very unique sharpener. So there's a little thumb grip here. If you were going to use it in the field, you can kind of, makes it really easy to hold it. And so each time you run across here, you're getting that start with your edge. Another thing I like about it is that it's rubberized on the ends here. So if you are at home or if you have a picnic table, this doesn't really move anywhere. So if you do want to set it down and kind of sharpen, I like to do it more of an angle away from me here. You can do that as well. Ceramic rods, also once again, 20 degrees on both sides, pretty awesome. And then the strop even has angle guides as well on there. So it kind of gives you an idea where to start, but once you get that going, then you kind of just keep back and forth. A couple other features that it has that I want to mention. There is a little tiny ceramic rod on the edge here for sharpening serrated blades, which is awesome. So if your pocket knife is a serrated one, you can kind of work through that all the way and you can sharpen those up pretty slick. And then there's also, it does a lot of things, so I'm keeping all this in my head so I don't forget any. There's a groove that you can see here in the ceramic rod that's for sharpening fish hooks. So pretty sweet. You have an old Daredevil or an old spoon that needs some touching up. You can run them through there and get them nice and sharp again and start casting. One last feature that it does is that these diamond coated plates are magnetic. There's a little magnet on here. And on the inside of this, for you bow hunters out there, it's broadhead wrench. Pretty, just a kind of a clever thing to throw in the mix. Doesn't take up any extra space. They just did a little stamp out here. So we have four-sided broadhead, three-sided broadhead, four-bladed, three-bladed. Yeah, so you can just unscrew those, touch your broadheads up with this as well. It's a great piece. I think it's the one I grab the most often. I have a couple different types of kind of portable field sharpeners at home, but I like that everything's in one piece here. I have some rod sharpeners at home too, and they work great, but there's no setup on this thing. You just grab it and you start going, and it works really, really well. So hopefully that's helpful in helping you decide if it's something that you want to add to your pack or start bringing it to the campsite. That's the Work Sharp Field Sharpener.